Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everyone. I am Nathan Garrett coming at you from Zwift Community Live headquarters with the Europe E-Crit series presented by Zwift and Tacx. Things are about to get going out on course for the series today for the men and the women. The Zwift E-Crit series is presented by Tacx. It's a 5 race series taking place every Monday from today, October 30th through November 29th. Riders will score points in each race in the top 10 European men and top 10 European women in the overall standings will be invited to a live e-racing final in January to be determined the crowned Zwift Crit Series European champion. Location and date is to be announced still. The men are out on course about 53 seconds into their racing right now. We'll jump right into the action in just a second. About a minute, the women are going to be jumping out on course as well. But quick, a little bit about the points and the race info. Points are awarded for the first 20 European men and women riders from 20 points to 1 point in reversed order. Points will count towards the overall standings, and you can check all that out over at zwiftpower.com for the standings. Power-ups are allowed at all times. There's no TT bikes at all. And the courses will be Volcano counterclockwise, Richmond Flat, or London Classic for each of the courses respectively today. We do have social media integration today as well. So if you'd like to interact with the broadcast directly, actually, you can do so today by just tweeting at ZCommunityLive, or by commenting over at Zwift's Facebook, actually. So we actually have a quick little example for you of that here. As women do get out on course, they are just about to take off, it looks like, as well. But if you would like to interact with us, just go ahead and tweet or comment over at Zwift's Facebook. But the racing is getting underway, and I want to welcome to the broadcast as well, Mr. Wes Solsberger. Wesley, how's it going, man? Good to have you here. Ready for some racing here today, bud?
Yeah, thanks, Nathan. Thanks for having me on. Looks like I've got a few Aussies racing as well. I did put a little bit of a hint out there to the Wolfpack crew that there would be some racing going down, and looks like a few of them showed up as well.
Yeah, this is super similar today to something that took place over your winter down there in the Down Under. And it's an early morning to you, I believe. A good morning. It's a Monday here for the rest of us, but I believe it's an early Tuesday morning. So good morning to you on Tuesday over there, Wes. But you guys just had something super similar just happen and take place back in September for the final, I believe, for the Aussie E-Crit series. So you're pretty familiar with how this format works.
Yeah, and this format's been really popular with the guys, and we see the other Aussies joining in on the Euro series now. It was sort of a tester for everyone with the Aussie series, and I think it's gone really well, and I think it'll definitely go well here with these other European races getting in amongst it. There's plenty of firepower there, I reckon, Nathan.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to see a lot of European flags definitely in this series presented by Tacx. I mean, we do see a few Aussies jumping in there, but for sure there's going to be a focus here coming from the, we do see Dunn, the winner of the Aussie E-Crit, jumping in, throwing his hat in there, it looks like, for trying to grab, a good workout and maybe, hang out amongst the boys and get his taste with what the European E-Crit will be like here. So it's good to see Dunn out there, actually. But we also, it looks like here, Adrian Timmis up toward the front end of this race. Actually, third place at the CVR World Cup in London. Watch out for this guy. Ex-Tour de France riders out there hanging out amongst the group right now. Also moving our way toward the front, we're going to try and see who some of the big hitters out here are. Christopher Durham is there, a young junior rider, actually, I believe, out on course. And then David Williams riding from the KRT team as well. Now, all of the riders are in Tacx kits, so we do not see any of the teams that might be working together to try and get their strongest man up at the front of the race. And this is going to be a pretty tactical race, Wes, I would think, as far as it being a flatter crit type course, right? I mean, there's going to be some team tactics being thrown down, I would think.
Yeah, definitely there'll be some team tactics go into play. I mean, on this circuit, we usually see a few little shake and bakes early on. People trying to sort of just test the legs and then and sort of suss out who wants to sort of carry on with a move. So I reckon we'll start to see, it's eased into a nice solid pace. We're looking at the rider here now to 400 watts. So they're not just rolling along here. They've got a fair bit of pace on. So I reckon when that next little lull comes, that little bit of an ease off, there'll be probably some interesting. Some riders wanting to sort of push on with a move.
Yeah, so Daffod on the front there from the KRT team, actually, KISS Racing team. He's a longtime racer out on Zwift for the KISS Racing team. Not always at the front as a big heavy hitter, but he is being followed up very closely there by Sean Gray as well as Kim Little. Kim Little, a well-known name amongst the racers out on Zwift. So it looks like the first selection is trying to be made at this point. Again, there are no categories necessarily. There's a men's and a women's category to it. There is no A, B, C, or D. It's just racing for the top 10 in the series. So anybody can join the race in order to try and get those top spots. Now we do see Kim trying to get away super early here. Now the women are just heading into the first climb here as they take the right-hand turn up toward Trafalgar Square. Let's go ahead and see what's going on with the women here. A couple of the well-known names actually up toward the front. Kona Bear there, actually a participant also in the London CVR World Cup. We do have Jansen in there as well, coming out of the Netherlands. Then we are seeing CB here from Team Experimento, and probably one of the favorites amongst all of the women out there today for taking a spot, I would think, is going to be Rachel Elliott here from that KISS Racing team. This is a rider, I think, Wes, that everybody is kind of saying, who's going to challenge her? Who's going to come up and I mean, every race we've seen her race, I'm not sure we've ever seen her lose out on Zwift or in real life. And just so everybody knows, she has a few amazing palmares to her name in real life. A couple of super solid results in the individual time trial type races in real life, hammering away here up into that 4.5 to 5 watts becomes the attack into this climb. This is that first spot, Wes, I think, where we could get a little bit of a break.
Yeah, this is where we start to see the riders sort of start to shake out those legs. At first, a little bit of incline here now, so we'll start to sort of test the legs here and see who's really got the legs to hang on in here. So I reckon we see a few Tron bikes out there as well, people going for the optimal performance there, Nathan, as well. So I think, like you were saying, with these other girls here and amongst it, whether they can sort of make sure that they work together here, because obviously, Rachel is the strongest there, so they need to be a little bit smart about things here.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you there. And if they are smart, though, we have seen Rachel perhaps struggle a little bit with super hard, high-intensity attacks. She's definitely a TT specialist. She has the ability to go super hard for that 20 to 1 hour, and all of the races that we've seen her win have been just racing her race, her own solo effort, attack hard enough that nobody can hang on for the duration of the entirety of the race. But when it comes to those spikes, though, when it gets in the orange numbers, a lot of times we don't see a huge sprint from her. So I have a feeling that maybe the tactic from some of these women might be to try and hang on to the wheel and wait for those last moments for an attack into that 7, 8, 9 watts per kilogram, maybe even a sprint effort if they can just hang on to the wheel, being that flatter course. Again, all the time, though, it's going to be that attack up into the square each time. There's that one place out on course through, I believe it is Whitehall, where they need to hang on to the wheel, I believe. And, it's going to be Grupo Compacto, I would think, most of the time. Are there any places on course besides that, West, that you saw in the Australian E-Crit a lot of times where you would have the attacks take place and things break up?
Oh, we had some attacks usually after the coming through the finish line. Few people would be hustling, jostling, and then looking at the laps, seeing how sort of farther into it, and then a little bit after the finish line, sort of along that straight, we'd see a few attacks go. But most of the time, obviously, they come on that uphill drag into that feeding into that last few kilometers of the race. But I think that these other riders here now are really going to have to start to, like I said, think about that tactic of how they can work together here. Because Rachel obviously is the strongest. You're saying with that stop starting probably doesn't suit her as well. So that's something that the other riders can sort of use their advantage, do a little bit of those 40-20 efforts, that Tacx, and then if they can work together on that and go one after the other, that's where they could really start to try and distance themselves.
It'd be interesting over the series actually to watch and see if some of the women, maybe not even on the same teams, start to try and work against such a strong rider who is Rachel. You know, suddenly there's no offense to Rachel. I mean, it's almost like a compliment, but that the whole pack starts working to come up against her. But maybe we'll see. Zeke Kreider's in the house, though. We do see here coming out of Switzerland. Good to see her. We'll give her a ride on. Jansen's still up there as well, coming out of the Netherlands. Rachel, of course, still in there, it looks like. CB from Team Experimento. Carrie Konebear has made it as well from the Bolt Racing team. Be watching out for her. But then we do have just about 8 seconds back, it looks like. And kicking here, coming out of the Netherlands, 178 beats per minute on the chase with Friend 76 there. Ludendorff is there as well, coming out of Germany. About a minute 11 back, followed by Van der Beek here out of the Netherlands. So that's the current situation within the women's race, though. It is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 off the front. Then in and amongst the men, we've got a full-on blow-up here. It looks like nuclear mode coming from Dafford Williams, actually. But now we are seeing up toward the front is going to be Tom Hargreaves, actually, throwing his hat into the race today. Noon Sigma Sport there. Also ZHQ. And this is that section we were talking about there where they need to be very attentive as they go on through the hall there into the square. This is the one place out on course where we do get an uphill gradient. And a lot of times you see those attacks just go absolutely bonkers and up into 8, 9, 10 watts per kilogram for about 30 seconds or so. And then it's all about continuance on the other side here. We do see Team Experimental with Kim Little as well as Sean Gray off the front. And this is where the team tactics come into place. I bet you saw this a ton with the Wolfpack in the Aussie E-Crit series.
Absolutely. We saw the Wolfpack, you know, go out and make sure if they weren't in that move, they were on the front chasing down. So that's where some of these guys here at the front are going to have to start to think about, you know, do they want Gray going up the road? Do they want to let him go right here, right now? And that's where they're going to have to start to work together and start to pull a little bit of it. Looks like they're going to go Grupo Compacto around under this finish line banner here coming up. I don't reckon there's going to be too much more fireworks here now because it'll start to group back up again. But we did see in the E-Crit when these moves were coming back, there was that, I was talking about that little bit of a lull. And then we did see a lot of riders sort of go over the top of some of these moves.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see if we do see a counter here. Now, what is really interesting to me is that from KRT right now, I'm not seeing maybe the strongest rider that they have on their roster, actually. And that would be another UK rider that I would put on the same level as we were just kind of putting Rachel Elliott, kind of a step above, and that would be Tim Cartwright, who, if you were to look at his SwiftPower.com results, you would see nothing but gold next to his name, actually, with only a few podiums below that, though. So without Tim in the race, it does kind of open up. Now, Kim Little's another, too, that does win a lot of races out on Zwift as well. So Kim Little, definitely one of the favorites that we are seeing from Team Experimental here. But it's interesting not seeing Cartwright throwing his hat into the mix here. But we are seeing another rider here. Jens Tempelar is out there, it looks like. I believe still riding for WBR, I believe, and be watching out for Templar as well as Luge, two riders here who have won a whole lot of races out on Zwift. So a lot of the heavy hitters, the European racers showing up in full force, and it's going to be interesting to see here which ones are going to start showing themselves over the duration of the race. Another one, which is Johan Gren, is out there as well, and I know he was working toward getting a Zada approval badge because he was so incredibly strong out on Zwift. And look at that pack flying along here. And you know, I didn't switch my in-game. I'm going to get yelled at by all the Europeans here. What is going on, Nathan? Why does it say 32 miles per hour at the top? Now, that's for the E-Crit series later today for the North Americans.
It's 50, 51, 52 if you want to know. I've got it on my the Aussie one. So
you need to educate the antiquated American over here, actually. Wes, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And looking through, it does look like Schultz here, as well as Franken, and then Rip Meester here. A lot of riders coming out of the Netherlands, actually, showing up here. And definitely Turn Faber here as well. I wonder, as well as it looks like Truhan here, riding for a team I am unfamiliar with, WAY, Way, up toward the front as well. We'll go ahead and give him a ride on. It does that Grupo Compacto again, as you were saying. But a lot of times around this corner, we do see an attack just because the pack is forced to slow down a little bit, and somebody sometimes does kick out of this little initial turn here, but we aren't seeing anybody really getting away too much. It is El Helen off the front a little bit, about a 4.8 watts, become 140 beats per minute. Doesn't look like he is in too much struggle just yet. So looking through here, let's go ahead and see how the social media interaction's going on here a little bit. What is a mile, Johnny Noblet is saying. Thanks a lot, appreciate it. And Jens Fried Rasmussen is in there as well from Vision Cycling, saying that Tim raced yesterday and ripped us apart like a piece of paper. So we hope to see Tim hanging out in the series, though. Good to see him out there as well. If you would like to interact out on the broadcast, you can do so. John Rich now also coming on through here, says watching live coverage whilst completing a Zwift workout. He says too scared to race the big boys, flat out, he's saying. So come on out, John, come on. Good to see you out on course. If you could get in with us, we'd appreciate seeing you out there. But John, good to see that you are doing a workout and tuning in. So Wes, it looks like we do have about, according to ZwiftPower.com, I believe we have about 30 riders here up toward the front end of the men's race right now as they're heading toward this attack point. And we are seeing a couple going off the front right now. I think that is a tactic that's been, people have kind of been warming up to a little bit, is going a little bit earlier. They're realizing that the efforts, if they're too short, that everybody just kind of holds on to the wheel and you can't really get anywhere with it.
Yeah, you can't get that little bit of distance. Once you're getting over that sort of 4 seconds or more, then you really have to start to push on to get that gap. So otherwise you're pretty much just taking out of your legs, doing those little short. It's a good little finder to see if anyone wants to push on with it, but you still have to push on with that move yourself initially to make that gap.
Yeah, and I'm seeing right here, Rickard and a few others did try to put a little bit of hurt in. And I think to get that heart rate with that initial load, during the Hendy rides, the group workouts that we've been doing with Coach Hendy, we've definitely seen that idea of loading up, getting that preload of lactate. And you've put a little bit extra lactate in the legs of the other riders, and then attack like this over this climb. With Burton now going up in that 8 watts per kilogram. Hargreaves is still there as well. Gray, you might be able to break a few off the back here. Now, the dangerous place to be now at this point is going to be at the back with Rickard and the others. Nadsy is in there from WP Taz, actually, as well as Oxenham. Riding for KRT, actually, it looks like, with the team swap over from Experimental, it looks like here. Ripmeester is there from the HIK team. And, it's a dangerous place to be if you're all the way at the back with C. Orgo, if they're unable to hang on. But it's also nice if you're just at the back here, getting a nice draft, as long as nobody goes too far off the front, because you can't respond too well. It's just kind of like in real life there. I know you've done a lot of real life racing, and if you're not positioned well amongst a large pack like this, what's that like, Wes? If you're, you just don't even know what's happening up at the front, do you?
No, you have no idea what's happening. You get that, if you're outside the front, you get that elastic band, it starts to really stretch out. And then you may actually have the power to stay in the group, but then the person in front of you drops the wheel. And that's a horrible feeling, when that elastic snaps in front of you and you've got to go around and do an extra effort on top while you're already on the limit. That can just be race over. So it's really important that you get that flow. And when there are these lull moments, like how we've seen these breaks go and then come back, and then all the riders that are sort of experienced or have that power will start to move up and funnel towards the front. because you don't want that. You don't want those riders in front of you that are dropping the wheel. So if you're down the back, you know, you have that chance of having to do extra work on top of what you're already doing.
And we're seeing just what you were talking about here. About 4 riders there losing a wheel. The rider right here that's right in front of the one with the orange cap there, I believe it was Schultz actually for a moment there, was losing the wheel. And now pushing up into 5.6 watts per kilogram. These other riders having to go to the front, put that little extra in. Now we are seeing a Tacx up to the front. Look at it string out here actually as they head into this lap marker here. And this is not the final or anything, but you can see, as you were saying, after that initial attack over the up into the square there, now we are seeing, after that lull, another one coming on through, and now we are seeing Durham maybe seeing what's happening here, making sure that he is positioned well, right along with Ripmeister here from the HIK team actually. So good to see the youngster here still hanging amongst the riders. Now in the women's race though, we have had a break taking place as they went through out on the through that section out on course there. We are seeing, it looks like I. Jansen has fallen off pace, has gone back to that chase group, contained Fred 76 as well as Nick in here. So this is a chase group of 3 actually. They will be grabbing points for the top 20 here, so good to see that. But it looks like Z Kreider right along with CB, Rachel Elliott, and Kona Bear now as a group of 4 on the front end of the race now as we can see. Look at all the Tron bikes here though. Definitely jumping in with the fastest bikes out on course. Kreider there with her Tron bike. It does look like we do have from the KRT team. Is Rachel on a Tron bike though? I think she is actually on the Cervelo. It looks like.
Yeah, she's on the Cervelo there by the looks of it. Yep. Yeah, and you've got to do a little bit of work to get those Tron bikes as well, don't you, Nathan? They don't come easy.
No, they do not come easy as well. They are a great reward, but it is 50,000 meters of climbing to grab that Tron bike. And if you do want a Tron bike in game, what you need to do is select the challenge. Actually, there's a little screen that you can do in your menu that will select the challenge for you. And you are able to grab that Tron bike challenge, and 50,000 meters up over time. And you can actually unlock that bike here. But it does look like it is going to be Kona Bear hanging out. Is that actually a Madone, I believe, that Kona Bear is on? And then Rachel is hanging out on that Cervelo, the, I believe, second fastest bike out on course. Unless she were to put on the beta wheel in the back there, the full disc. There has been some test results that have shown that the Cervelo S5 with the full 808 disc in the back may be faster than the Tron bike on some courses. It's within 1 second or so actually. So that might have been some older tests, but Zwiftblog.com did do some tests running a few riders around the course, and the Cervelo S5 with that disc in the back from the beta wheel that you were able to open up if you were a beta tester seemed to be fairly fast as well. But still 4 in the front here, no attacks yet as they hit in the square, which is interesting. Elliott at the front, 5.6 watts per kilogram. Looks like she's trying to make something happen here.
She's trying to make something happen. I think she's heard that call out there that we're just rolling along. So she's sort of jumped out of the saddle here. She's got a nice cadence there. He's sitting in that 90 sort of cadence there. So nice rhythm going. Heart rate's not too high either. So she looks like she's pretty comfortable. Yeah,
speaking of heart rates here, Kreider here up into 116. Looks fairly comfortable as well. Depending on where her max heart rate is at, maybe up into a tempo or so. CB here, no heart rate monitor on for CB. I'm interested to see how that plays out amongst the race organizers here. But then Carrie, they're up into that 168. I think maybe in a little bit more of a struggle than the rest of the riders around her here, perhaps. Just hanging on, 2.8 watts per kilogram. Looking for a wheel, it looks like here for Carrie Kona Bear from that Bolt Racing team. Just about 5 meters back. This is where the struggle begins for Kona Bear now. She does not have a draft. She needs to grab on. Looks like she's just going to barely do so. Yep. So right back in. She's going to come back around
here for that corner. She's going to lay down the knee on the inside and roll up on the back of the group there, Nathan. Now it looks like she's back in there and amongst it. Good work by Kona Bear there.
It looked like it was a struggle for a moment there. Just a little bit, perhaps. Wonder what the max heart rate is for Carrie Conabear there. Now, I do have results here from ZwiftPower.com, some live results that we can bring in. We can also take a look at some of the races that these women have done in the past few days or past few weeks to see if they've got any results that they've been kind of warming up to the racing here. CB here for Team Experimental. She's put out a solid 4.3 watts per kilogram so far. That is, oh, it's Cassie Baldy. Good to see Cassie out in course. CB out there. It does look like she did do the coffee with hot espresso, presented by, took a third in that. And that was presented by Team ODZ. So she looks like she was warming up to this back on Wednesday, October 18th as the last race that she did. It looks like Rachel Elliott is here as well. Her last race, it looks like, would have been the PRS Project Race Series. Actually took a win actually back on the 17th, it looks like, for Rachel Elliott. So she's been doing a little racing, getting ready for the E-Crit Series as well. Looking through here, we also have Carrie Conabear and then Z Kreider. We'll see what they've been up to. Z Kreider, it looks like 35 races out on Zwift. Took a win in the Odivas race, actually, back on October 11th. That is an ODZ race, actually. Solid job for her in that. And then it looks like Carrie, the last time we saw any serious racing from her would have been the KISS Ladies Only race. Took a 5th in that, and then a win in the XRS La Feminine back on September 29th, actually. So some solid racing for them, all the women so far that are in this front group. Looks like Rachel's turning the screws a little bit again as they come through the lap. 10.5 miles down so far. Give me some help here, Wes. What do you got there for the women? We're gonna need the rest of the industrialized world update always on where we are at on the miles or the distance today.
Yes. So we're at that 21 kilometer mark now, and we see the men here are doing about 46 kilometers an hour at the moment, and we see Kim Little's been very active and following a lot of these moves early on, and actually from the Australian guys jumping as well. Anthony Vegan Porsche's been up the front there when you were just chatting earlier about the women. He's been quite active as well. So we see some of these riders here. We did see coming up that sort of drag into the finish there. We saw a lot of power-ups being used actually. Some people wanting to get rid of those drafting ones and opt for those more aero power-ups so they can use those a little bit later in the race.
Yeah, I think they're probably, like you're saying, dropping off at this point quite a few of those power-ups in order to try and find the best one that they possibly can. You know, heading into the final, especially if it's going to be a sprint. I mean, look at how grouped up this is. What's your prediction here, Wes? I mean, it seems to be Grupo Compacto completely. Can anybody get away is going to be the question. And if they kind of say no, it's going to be about the aero power-up, right?
Yeah, and I think that's what, seeing how many people were using the power-ups to try and optimize to get the right power-up. I mean, obviously it's going to be a thing anyway, but I think with the way we're seeing this race play out, that it's going to be a tough sort of ask for them to get to distance each other, because they are all by the looks of it responding to each move pretty rapidly. So they're sort of marking each other out. So with those sort of attacks and everything at the moment, which I was watching when you were commentating on the women. It looked like that, you know, they were cancelling each other out. They weren't creating that gap because everyone in the bunch wanted to be at the front. Yeah,
and I think with so much on the line, this is a lot different than just showing up to your regular old Zwift race, right? I mean, we have an E-Crit series with a lot on the line. People are going to be a little bit more reservation. This isn't just about getting the workout in, right? A lot of times it's just about getting the workout. Yeah, I'll throw my dice on the on the table, but right now they've got a couple more dollar bills on the table, and so they're not just going to roll the dice randomly here and there, see what happens.
And I think you'd see probably some riders, like you said, rolling that dice, letting a little bit of a move go, and then sort of thinking, okay, I'll go across to that. Where here it's almost like it's first race, and like you said, a bit on the line, so everyone's sort of on top of each other almost, not letting anything go.
Yeah, definitely. It looks like it. We haven't seen too many attacks. We've got a lot of solo riders unattached, but then we also see a lot of teams in here that are going to be super interested in putting their strongest man on the podium here. Vision Cycling's there with Adam Webb. We are seeing the Vikings team with Bringadal, who might have actually been playing a tactic here. Actually, a common crit tactic that you see a lot of times when there is the ability to keep racing. One lap down, but able to work for his team still. So Bring It All here might be able to work for the Vikings still and give, it looks like Brigitte there. I believe it's Brigitte there. A chance at that podium still. BRT is still in there. We are seeing Innovation in there as well with Gavin Richardson. Phone is in there from it looks like from Innovation. So still lots of teams hanging out toward the front of this race looking to set up their riders here. Sigma Sport though here, it looks like Hargreaves, Zwift HQ putting a little dig in at the front, but only 6-7 here. Maybe just trying to make it steady hard, not definitely attack hard.
Well, he has got some form actually. He's been racing in Mallorca and picked up the win there. So yeah, he's in some form at the moment. So he's just sort of showing that at the moment now, sitting out there in front. Wondering if anyone wanted to come across because he might be tuned in, hopefully listening to the stream, saying how no one's sort of letting anyone go, and that's where maybe they would let one rider go just out here and let him hover. But this is where a couple of guys, if they really wanted to pour it on, like Tim Little or someone wanted to go across and then charge on with that, this could be really interesting.
Yeah, only a 1 second gap there. I'm not sure it's going to go much of anywhere just of yet. We are seeing Drujan there coming from Vision Cycling. Porsche's there as well. I have a feeling Porsche here, being from down under, is most likely working for the team Vision Cycling out there to try and set up their best rider if they can, which would either be Webb or Drujan out there as well. Out of Denmark, we do see Gjeld. They're trying to close things down. Cadence Sport still there with Adrian Timmis. Hargreaves now has been caught, and it doesn't look like it's put too much of a bother in the legs of any of the riders. Well, 170 there coming from Rickard. Watch out for him coming out of Ireland here. Now here are the numbers, though, and a lot of power-ups being thrown down. This one looks a little different than the past ones. And coming into, you know, just a few laps to go here. Vanderbent now up at the front of the Netherlands. Little now as well, 8.3 watts per kilogram at the front. Some of the big hitters starting to show themselves to be known. Who is who now?
And using those power-ups as well. And we did see the aero power-ups being used as well. So this is a serious bit of a action going on here now. We do see a little bit of a, it's not quite sort of detached there, but it's definitely strung out now, Nathan.
Yeah, it's definitely strong. And that's the moments that we're talking about there for those who are at their limits already toward the back end of this group are going to be struggling. And if anybody lets any gap go amongst that strung out group, it's going to be a few falling off then. Johan Gren now sitting in 160 beats per minute. We can see coming out of Sweden now. We are seeing Schultz as well. Pieces there, all still able to hang on. Has anybody been dropped off? Now Hargreaves maybe suffering a little bit for that initial attack prior to the climb there. 4.3, 4.5 watts per gram, 171 beats per minute. Gendrish is there still as well. Does look like M. the Jode here out of Belgium. Drujan hanging on from Vision Cycling. Gray, first one to bite the dust, maybe off the back from this group. Jay Kiff, though, no, actually was the first. He was amongst the group before that climb. So there is a little bit of work being done by the teams to drop a few off, but not still. You've got plenty who are not going to be getting points. It's only the top 20 who grab any points. So still looking to probably whittle things down yet through the finish line.
Just clicking through here now, Nathan, it looks like Webb has a pretty low heart rate here. A lot of the other riders when I was clicking through was sort of 160 to 170, and Webb was down to that 150, and he's actually down to 145 beats at the moment. Sitting at 300 watts and about an 85 sort of cadence. So that's a pretty low heart rate for Webb. Is that normal?
Yeah, we've seen that plenty from him. He's gotten a lot of flack about it here and there as well amongst some of the smaller groups that look to chat to each other about how setups are going and things. So I believe he has a Zado approval on him. I'm not absolutely positive though, but there's been a lot of back and forth and controversy around Webb actually, but that's what these e-crits are all about, is proving the real life thing. And I think there has been some self-policing amongst the groups because of that, because if you show up and just get blasted, I mean, that's on you, right? Like then the community's like, yeah, okay, bud, like see what happened here at the end of the day. So definitely a lower heart rate there though, coming from Webb. It is, I think he maxes out though a little bit lower than maybe the likes of a Kim Little or a few others. Dafford Williams especially, also a super low heart rate for him as well. So we'll have to keep an eye on that though as the series goes on too. I have a feeling we are going to have a few riders definitely under the microscope here and there, and then perhaps zwiftpower.com as a community organizer will, you know, with in conjunction, I believe, with some of the help of the community, looking for just some verification, make sure that everybody is on the correct setups out there though. So the good call there, good spot there, Wes. Webb definitely usually does have a fairly low heart rate out there. Now, who I'm surprised though from Vision not seeing out there would be a Philip Diner, one of the strongest riders out there as well, not showing up, it looks like, at this point. So maybe not a good time for him out there, but I'm surprised that he hasn't thrown his hat into the ring here, because he wins just about anything that he shows up to lately. Now there's attack here coming from El Helen here. Now this is you know, one Aero Cycles here, 140 beats per minute, 360 watts there. We'll have to wait and see. We'll give him a ride on for his effort there, but there may be a few from the community as well, speaking of trying to check on things. But we are seeing that being chased down by Wiley there from the BRT. Into the women's race though, there is an attack here, Wes. If you are following along, we are seeing Rachel here. She has gone, and this is what she's been looking for.
Gone for that long range that you were talking about, isn't she?
Yeah, she finally broke them, it looks like. I think she just set the pace at a steady, high effort, and eventually it was just game over here. Rachel has gotten away at this point. She's got 17 seconds over Kreider here. Kreider here now 2.9 watts per kilogram, has gotten away from Carey actually. So Z Kreider here coming out of Switzerland now. We are seeing Carey Konebear now trying to chase that down, or at least stay away from Fred 76 and Nick Kicken, as well as Jansen here. So this is going to be the race here for the top points, and every single spot here still matters. So with 6 seconds on this group, I think Carey might want to, I mean, if she doesn't have 4.0 watts per kilogram at this point, she might want to allow the riders to come back and then use them, since she has been off the front with the likes of Kreider and Elliott for so long. Now Kreider though has faded to about a 3.1, maybe struggling to hold on to this pace at this point.
Yeah, so struggling to hold on to the pace here, but she's going to have to really push on and commit with it now. You know, you're out there in that no man's land, so you're really just going to have to start to focus on your cadence as well. You know, you start to drop that cadence. She was getting down towards the low 80s, but she's holding on to that now at that 85. So she's really going to have to commit here now.
Yeah, it looks like it. And I mean, 48 seconds, that's going to be a hard close, almost up to a minute, but it's not impossible. If she does fade down to this 2.5 to 3.0 for the duration of the rest of the race, she might be caught by these four riders if they really work together out here. They, you know, it's a total of 37.6 kilometers race here. So 37.6K is the total here that they are going for. We are getting some questions out there. And so we are getting into the last two laps here for the men here in just a moment. We are seeing some attacks now open up, so we'll get back in with the women here in just a moment. But we are seeing, what is that? I just saw 28 I think Rickard maybe needs a 28 watts per kilogram, maybe a little bit over there with the trainer here. But Burton here, TFC now up toward the front there. Richardson's there as well. Templar now 5.0 watts per kilogram. Faber there now. Richardson, Phone, all up toward the front. Not too much of a break just yet. Again, so difficult to get away out on this crit course.
Yeah. It is really tight for these riders to get away because, like I was saying, that no one wants to let anything go at this stage, especially with only 2 laps to go now. So no one is going to want anyone to get that distance, because once they get over that 4-second gap, and if there is a strong group, I'm thinking like 4 or 5 guys, Nathan, they'll work together and go for this, won't they? They're not going to just make that gap and then sit up. It's going to be all on.
Yeah, so I mean that's the thing, is if you do go and you do throw that dice, you do put those matches, you burn them, you got to use them, right? I mean, it's kind of an all or nothing types of tax at that point, because you're only going to have so many in the legs, and so perhaps some of the riders here waiting. Because these 30-second efforts, that's not everything they got. The guys who are the strong guys, they're still holding back a little bit, making sure that they're just in and amongst the race. If these were serious attacks from some of these riders, we would see somebody at least off the front by about 10 seconds or so and trying to hold that. But these riders are really experienced. A lot of them have been racing out on Zwift, riding out on Zwift for 2+ years at this point. And they are, they know how to work a large pack like this. And I mean, look at how many riders are still in amongst here. So many strong ones, and they're not going to, throw caution to the wind at this point with only 2 laps to go.
No, with 2 laps to go, you're not going to roll that dice fully unless you're not backing yourself for the sprint. That's the other side that comes into it. If you are not a sprinter, but the other thing is too, there are a few riders in here with teammates, so they'll be looking to look after them as well, make sure they're positioned, and give them that lead in if there are any moves up that final sort of incline coming into that last 2K, because that's where it's going to really be on, isn't it, Nathan? That's where it's going to make the race there, that last sort of bit of a pitch up into that last 2K to go, with that drag. We will see probably some of the teammates using the power-ups there to sort of increase the pace and push things along.
Yeah, speaking of teams, from what we are seeing here, there are definitely quite a few still in and amongst the group here. TKBE is here. I'm not sure if they've got too many in and amongst the racers here just yet, but on the team thing, there's a question I have for you, Wes. Did you start to see in the Aussie eCrit series a lot of riders and teams really get the lead out down? You know what I mean? Did they really start to get, or was it kind of still just a little bit random, like rolling and mainly just using it to close gaps down to get their rider in the right position? But was there actually lead out trains that started to develop to take over the front end of the pack actually?
That's what I thought I would see develop, and it looked like that was going to happen. And then we had Pat Shaw joined the series, and he was very renowned for doing long-range attacks, sprints sort of things with about a K to go. So that sort of changed the dynamics of the lead-out. So then we did see some of the other guys from the Wolfpack crew have to sort of chase that down almost and get them into a distance. So it was sort of a shake and bake, but we didn't see the structured lead-outs that I thought would evolve. We saw them once early on with Ockerby was led out by Dunn on one of the London courses, but the rest of them were pretty much a bit of a lolly scramble. There was a lot of attacks, and coming into the final, we had, after Pat Shaw sort of initially done some really long range attacks, that was sort of the theme of a lot of other riders to try their luck rolling the dice.
Yeah, now speaking of attacks here, we'll get back to that conversation because we actually are seeing P Fawn here go off the front here. That was up into that 10 watts per kilogram for a moment there. And actually, for those of you who might not know, around that 180 corner, the pack is forced to slow down actually through that corner. If you attack out of that corner, you can actually then ramp your speed up faster than the rest of the riders and get a gap, as you're seeing from P Phone here. Actually, Phone actually out of Switzerland riding for innovation in game, but in real life he did ride this past year for, I believe it was Colnago Steiner, actually elite team coming out of Switzerland. Actually, we'll give him a ride on here. 174 beats per minute coming from him. And it looks like the rest of his team is sitting in as we are seeing El Helen here close it on down. Now, we do have a couple of DQs already coming through over at ZwiftPower.com right now. El Helen has actually gotten a DQ and needs a Zada approval. Johan also has a DQ that's already come through for him as well. For some of those who might be asking, we are seeing a contact Zada next to both of their names at this point. So we'll be watching hopefully for those riders to get their results either reinstated later in the series, if they can prove those numbers are the real deal, or at least some sort of a update to the trainer profile so that they can race the rest of the series. But just so everybody knows, we are seeing that, as that has come, those specifically have come up here and there in the past. Now we are heading into a lap and a half to go, and Oxenham here from the KRT team now looking to set up the rest of the riders from KRT, making his way to the front now. Bay is there as well. Caden Sports, Timmons still in there. And, you know, a rider that, you know, rode in the Tour de France in like the late 80s here. He's probably got a pretty high ceiling though. You know, he might not have that kick, Wes, you know, but
yeah,
fairly high ceiling though of what he can handle for a pain threshold, I would assume, right?
Yeah, it gets each Grand Tour that you do, it gets a little extended. So you know, you mightn't feel like you're setting the world alight, but you definitely develop a buffer there. We see some rider. Fon looks like he's going on with another move again now with a light featherweight power up this time. So opting maybe to get an aero up coming under the banners.
Yeah, and we are seeing that kick again as they go past the statue there. Whiteley there. Fon now, a little bit of a gap now actually for Fon. He's got that 5 meters, but again, the pack is just on top of it, not letting anything go anywhere. Templar still in there from WBR. Sternfalk. Now here comes a counter. But Helen needs to be, they need to let him go actually and let him ride his own race maybe. We'll see if they do let that happen here. Now Whiteley now from the BRT team right along with Bay, Sternfalk, Phillip all up toward the front still. Well positioned, 169 beats per minute. Let's look through some of these heart rates here. We are seeing Phillip 153. Looks like he's fairly comfortable now. Fawn there 175 though. Kim Little there 166. Always well positioned. Very smart rider out on course here. If it does come down to it, my prediction is going to be a Kim Little Hargreaves right along with Templar for that final sprint actually to the line. All of them do have a solid kick. Webb will be in there as well. Richardson and the likes of Innovation tend to be more of a slow roll away from the group, and if they do get away, they do have a consistent effort out there. Durham also has a solid sprint as well, the young junior rider out on course for WBR. Perhaps him and Temple are working well together. I would watch out for Drujan, who had a solid result at the CVR Paris event actually. So still lots of big hitters here for the top 10. I can't actually make a solid prediction. There's so many big hitters still coming out of Europe right now.
That's what I was about to say, Nathan. What's your prediction there on the winner coming out of today?
I mean, in the final lap here, we're going into the final.
Blanket over
jeez, it's this is it right here. Is this actually the final right here? We're getting everybody throwing down lots of power ups, so we're being told final lap. Actually, we might have made a mistake here, and Sternfox off the front here, and to the line, Rickard actually now Elite Cure, and that's it. Across the line, we made a little mistake on the timing there. 24.4 miles total there. So, and it looks like across the line, I'm not positive who took it there. And I'm going to take a look back through.
I have to look at the replay, and that was really close there. Looked like everyone sort of timed their power-ups there. We didn't see the long-range sort of sprint that we had in the Aussie E-Crit series. That was more sort of drilled into an actual full-on peloton sprint finish.
Yeah, that was full on lead out style there for the men for the entirety of the peloton. We're waiting for the official results from ZwiftPower.com. Sorry about the mix up there, guys. It would be amazing to have a lap counter actually out on the course there. But it does look like for the women's, as we're waiting for the ride to come in here. Go ahead, Wes.
A little bit of Mavic neutral service on my stream as well, so I actually lost my stream. So yeah, we couldn't give you any more info on that. So sorry about that, Nathan.
No worries there. But we are seeing through here. It does look like Kim Little was able to grab it at the line there, and the perfect prediction, boys and girls. No, not to tip my own hat or anything, but I said it in this order: Kim Little, Tom Hargreaves, Jurgen Stempelar, the exact order. What a prediction. We had some ESP coming through here as Rachel's got one lap to go here. 2:05 off the front from Z Kreider here. It looks like who is going to be caught.
By Nathan.
I mean, that was like
by Nathan.
I should have been rolling the dice on the table there on that one, because if we had a prediction, for the brackets here, who's gonna win, that would have been definitely the right lever to pull. Cha-ching! I mean, oh my goodness! Here, Scott Rickard then coming in for fourth. It looks like Arvels Vikströms as well as Sebastian Sternfalk, Serge Febrovsky, Tobias Mueller, and then Bertus Turksma.
Kreider's just been caught here, just under 1K to go, Banner Nathan. Just come back together here.
Yeah, it looks like, and I believe they've got about one to go from right here. So one to go from right here, it looks like. Rachel on the front now. Kreider then just being caught there, 4. And it looks like they've actually gained one other rider. Carrie Koneberg's there, nicking. So it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 riders in and amongst this group right now, but I'm not seeing a name for one of the riders, which is interesting. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, 5 was Fred 76 there. So Fred 76 at the back there as well. So this is for some serious points. Rachel Elliott here, it looks like punching her ticket as long as she doesn't have a flat or any kind of situation out on course here. So
it looked like Koneberg was leading the chase there as well to get Kreider back.
And that's interesting. I mean, they're all going to get a solid amount of points here. It's going to be the top 10. So there's probably some confidence in a lot of them at this point, for getting a few, punching a ticket to the final here. And so it looks like these riders here, kicking Fred 76, Koneberg, Kreider, and Jansen, all going to get some solid points too. The E-Cup final. Rachel Elliott here still off the front here, 221 or so it looks like, 158, 157. She's gonna, I think, just stroll in for a tempo ride at this point to the finish line.
Or watts per kilo. Nice little solid tempo that she's setting there, Nathan. It's sort of the heart rate's at 160 there, so 90 cadence. So she's just pattering us out on the pedals at the moment. She looks very comfortable.
Yeah, definitely. And we do have the social media integration coming on through here. We are seeing a few of the spectators actually cheering on Mr. Tom Hargreaves there. Actually, looks like he's got a few fans out there. Richard Lovelock is out there saying good job to Tom. Then we have got Jeff Trim as well. And scary prediction coming from Richard Lovelock. Go on, Kim Little. Gemma Anchors is there as well, hanging out in the broadcast. We do have a few Race WBR fans, it looks like. Let's see how WBR did out there today. Jurgen Stempelar actually riding for WBR, so it does look like they get a top 3 out there today. So Marty Henderson looks like he'll be happy about that. Again, if you would like to interact with the broadcasts and you have any comments or questions as we are on the final lap for the women out here today, please bring them right on through and we can interact with you directly. We love to answer any questions about what Zwift is, what's happening here, what's up with the eCrit series. Also later today we will be covering the North America E-Crit series as well. So if you would like to tune in for that, that's going to be 3 races in a row, actually. So we are going to be covering the East, Central, as well as the West for the North American series. So make sure to tune in for that later tonight, starting, I believe, at 6:30 Central Time. I'll have to double check on that, but I believe 6:30 Central Time for the start of that broadcast. For the women,
so
though,
Nathan, just to
go ahead, Wes.
just to go over the points tally there, as far as that works here, is it 20 points on offer for the win and then dropping down?
Yeah,
point
one
by point,
at a time.
Yeah, cool. Just wanted to
one at a
make
time.
sure of that. Yep, perfect. So these women here will pick up some nice valuable points here. So with 5 races throughout the series, it becomes very important to show up each week as well, Nathan. That consistency is key.
Yeah, and we're definitely out here promoting women's racing. I believe we had around 20 riders show up for the race today for the women. So there's a lot of points up for grabs. We had a little lower attendance maybe than we were looking for out on course, but that means there's a lot of spots up for grabs. All you women out there in Europe as well as in North America, you want to get involved in some live racing, get a spot at the live final. It looks like we've got some positions here, and let's grow this field and get things going out here. I know there's some women specific teams as well that have been launched as of recently that might be wanting to throw their hat in as well. So again, there might have been some confusion about the categories too. This is open to any category of rider. Any category of rider, you join in to the women's specific race or the men's specific race and jump in there and try and grab some of those points for that final in January.
Yeah, and just involvement in the racing as well, Nathan. We had a lot of people jump in on the Aussie E-Crit, that weren't right up the point into the race, but they come in each week and improve throughout the series and really enjoy the social aspect of it and having a bit of a chit chat with the riders after the racing's done as well.
Yeah, that's absolutely, that's really what it's all about. Cycling made social there as well for everybody, and so getting in and amongst the racers, throwing down with them, that's really what it's all about, is getting that amazing workout with a little added incentive though, and a little more pressure and hype. And I think even the racers who aren't actually going for that final, they know they're not in it for the points, get that little extra pressure though, knowing that it's a big event and you're participating in that big event, is I think a really cool experience for everybody all around. Now we are seeing attack here from Ann Kickin. It looks like she's been holding on to a little bit of power up to this point and closing it down actually to Rachel a little bit. She's not going to see Rachel again, I don't believe. 143 is huge, but she's definitely put the hurt into Kona Bear, Kreider, as well as Jansen and Fred with a solid 26 seconds, actually.
Yeah, and we did see Kona Bear do a fair bit of that chasing early on. So Kickin here has thought about this tactically and gone on with this move right at the crucial moment here at the end.
Look at that heart rate, 198 beats per minute, 198 here. Whew.
That's incredible. And holding at that too, holding at 198.
Yeah, not going anywhere with that heart rate just yet. Absolutely demolishing herself, it looks like right now, to hold on to this pace right now. And
almost up at those 5 watts a kilo there.
And
holding
super steady.
Watts a kilo, that's solid. Great ride by Kickin here. That's awesome.
And so looking through here for Kickin, we are seeing, I'm going to see if we can get some little bit of information about her. She's put out a solid 4.0 watts per kilogram so far. So she is actually on, I didn't realize, she is on Z Power. So we'll have to wait and see what the official rules are on the Z Power for the race today. As I look through the race information, I'm just going to double check here on the rules because I did not read at the beginning. Race eligibility, Z Power riders with an average watts per kilogram over the race run. Oh, and she's just barely over 3.99. So she's going to have to submit for those results, actually. So kicking here, solid effort there, 181 beats per minute. We'll give her a ride on as she closes things down here. And looks like Rachel, though, gonna be taking that W out on course. So nice job to Rachel as she crosses the line. We actually see P. Stockvik from the men's race there, just crossing the line as well as we work our way backwards, looking for the rest of the women in this women's race here. We do have a Ludendorff there as well, making her way around the course. One lap down, it is going to be Caragiani here, going to be getting across the line, looks like, before being chased down, but kicking here 5.3 watts per kilogram, 199 beats per minute. Looks like she is going to be crossing the line next, but going to be relegated most likely on the Z power here. But we are Kreider, Koneberg, Fred 76. Looks like they were able to drop off Jansen from PTZ, actually, out of the Netherlands. 21 seconds is the difference there. She's not going to see the front end of that packing. It looks like that attack was through that climb there was.
Yeah, it was up through that climb. We see Koneberg and sort of at the front here again. So we've seen her a lot at the front of this pack here. So she's going to be one to be confident, I guess, try and take on this sprint here and lead it out from the front.
Yeah, it looks like Kreider here, though, going way early
Kreider.
with the arrow power.
With the power.
Look at
there
that.
We go.
Oh, wow. My goodness. Look at the RPMs there. 136 RPMs. Friend 76 there. 6.75 watts per kilogram. But Kreider just too strong for the rest of them. Out of Switzerland here. Now Fred 76 making her way to the front there. And Koneberg playing it smart right on the wheel. Kreider taking that second place official, I believe.
Koneberg just comes over the top for third place. So nice solid accumulation of points there by those women. So well done.
Yeah, I believe that will be our top five then. I believe, as we do have sixth place coming to the line here with Jansen across the line in just a moment here. I'm going to see what the social medias are saying here. And Janine Huffman saying, go Carrie Koneberg. A little bit cheering on. Carrie was able to throw down third place, I believe, out there today. Solid effort there for her for the official. And again, another coming through there, Beth Lar York. Good to see her saying nice work to the ladies as we do have the next ones across the line now. So I think that's going to be it for our coverage of the crit today. We have had the front runners so far come into the race. We'll take a look real quick here at the ZwiftPower.com results for the women as well, as we do have the tops. But now the top 20, though, is what's going to be interesting amongst the men, because that is going to be those who are just within the points. Actually, it is 20 points to the winner and one down from there all the way down to 20th place. Actually, and I actually do have ZwiftPower.com up here. I can bring you guys the exact results right now that just took place out on course here. So here is ZwiftPower.com. It is a community run website here for the official results. Kim Little here across the line first. It looks like he'll be grabbing a solid 20 points. Johan needs to submit to Zada, so he needs to go ahead and bring in his total points or his setup for approval as he has been tagged. But Tom Hargreaves here for second place. It looks like Jens Tempelar for third as that perfect prediction went. Scott Rickard then followed by Arvils Vikström. Sebastian Sternfalk, nice job to him. Out of Russia, it looks like Serge Fabarovsky. Tobias Mueller, it looks like as well for Rue Riders. R2 out on course there. Bertus Turksma coming in for ninth. Mr. Joe, TKBE. And then all the way out to the top 20, just barely in the points there. Nice job to Matthew Burton. He'll grab that 1 point. Just nipping out Tom O'Kaland. Actually, no, Tom O'Kaland grabs, 1 point, because there is one DQ up front, actually. So solid job to him. So it is Russell from BPF who misses out just barely from the rest, actually. Vision Cycling actually showed up in force, unable, though, it looks like, to grab any points in the final out there today. It looks like Team Experimental, though, up toward the top of the there. Now looking through here, lots of men across the line already, but in the B category, which is the women's category, Rachel Elliott there with that W. Nick in here on the ZP though, we'll have to wait for the community to figure out what's going on there with that and whether or not she can grab those points. But Z Kreider there takes the second, Kona Bear there third. Ing Jansen coming in for fourth, followed up by Jerleen van der Beek here out of the Netherlands. Solid job all around to those riders. So I think that will be it for us today. Wes and Kim Little leading the SZR series and now leading the E-Crit series. This guy's unstoppable. I mean, pretty solid result.
Yeah, and we did see his power nearly 5 watts a kilo. So, like, he didn't have an easy ride as well. He followed some of those moves and actually initiated some of those late attacks in the race and then backing it up with a sprint. So, he's on form.
Yeah, definitely on form. He's coming off of a solid mountain bike season, I believe. So, great job to them. And it looks like some riders may be out of geographic region. Good call there, Rick Barbera. And as the series continues on, we'll definitely keep an eye on how all of that is playing out. All right, so Wes, thanks a lot for joining me. Good morning to you over in Australia. And that'll be it for our coverage today. Excited to have you back, hopefully, for next week. If you are around, I'm not sure if we're going to have Wes with us next week, but you'll be here for at least 3 of them, I believe, right?
Yeah, so yeah, should be here for next week, and then we may have another guest that I'll throw in as well.
All right, sounds good. Sounds good. And then make sure not to go anywhere, everybody, for later today, as we will be doing the NA North American E-Crit series as well. 3 races in a row right here live on ZCL. We are also live over on Twitch as well as Mixer and YouTube. If you're ever looking for any of the VODs or the replays, make sure to follow us at all of the places that you like to watch our content. It will be YouTube, Twitch, Mixer, or our Facebook that we are live on as well at Zwift Community Live. You can follow us on Twitter at Z Community Live if you'd like to interact with the broadcast at any time whatsoever. And again, this was the Australian, not the Australian. I'm so used to the Australian E-Crit for so long, but this was the Europe E-Crit series, actually presented by Zwift and Tacx. And here's a quick, awesome little promo for one of the trainers that Tacx actually makes. One of the coolest trainers out there actually right now. I met a midline trainer called the Flux.